Christina Hill, and this is the Own Your Crap podcast. In my early 30s, I found myself in a dangerous downward spiral of depression and misery, and I truly thought my life was over. Until an amazing teacher told me that the secret to my healing was to own my crap. Literally own it. Accept it for what it is and move forward from there. And I can honestly say that from that day on, everything in my life changed. So I'm here to help you, inspire you, and guide you so that you too can own your crap and live your best fucking life. Each week, I want to take you on a journey that helps you figure out a path that works for you. A path to change, nurture, and develop what I consider to be the pillars of a happy and successful life. Your mental health, your physical health, and your financial health. As well as stories, tips, and tricks from my own life, I want to share with you some nuggets of gold from some of the most amazing special guests. I'm super grateful for you joining me on this journey. And if you like what you hear, or if you know someone who could benefit from this, then please share, like, and follow this podcast. It really helps get the message to people who need it. Now, get ready to own your crap. Hey guys, I just wanted to quickly jump in before we get on to the episode and just give a heads up that we were facing some technical difficulties. Starlink was not playing nice. So if you hear any interference, it's not your ears. It is just a couple technical glitches, but we got there in the end. I hope you enjoy the episode and yeah, let me know what you think. Okay, welcome back to the Own Your Crap podcast. I am so excited for today's episode. And I have my very first guest and I'm super excited. I have known Mel and worked with Mel for a couple of years, and she is a legend, a super powerhouse in not only online business and the online space, but absolutely personifies owning your crap. And no matter what, is happening or has happened, you can create something that is just ridiculously epic. So not only is Mel an absolute boss, as I said, in the online space through her business, lifestyle industries, and in fact, Mel over the years has created several huge businesses, but she is also an amazing coach, a mentor, a speaker, and she's the host of her own podcast as well, Build Your Empire. So check that out and I'll put that in the show notes. But even more impressive than that, Mel is solo mumming it to two fabulous girls, showing them that anyone create a fabulous life that's true and authentic to them, no matter what their circumstances. So Mel, thank you so much for coming on my show. I'm so happy and honored to welcome you here.
Yes, how exciting. Congratulations on your show. And I feel honored to be the very first speaker. So we can bring some fire today, that's for sure.
Oh, fabulous. So I've worked with you. I know you're amazing, but and as one of your clients and followers, I've experienced your incredible knowledge. But can you tell people about who you are, where you've come from, and just how you've created the incredible life that you have?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a long story, but I'll give you the shorter version of it. So, I was born in Perth. And I moved to Brisbane in 2007 with a job that I had at the time, which I thought was so exciting. Lucky me, I got to travel with my job. But, what I realized, not sort of too long after arriving in Brisbane was, wow, I've signed up for Groundhog Day. And I think it was probably about that point that, I didn't have children at that stage, but I just knew that I was a little bit more of a free spirit than being locked in. I always struggled with authority my whole entire life. And, that role of managing and directing a company really it didn't sit well with me. I wanted to be able to build relationships with the people that I worked with, not tell them what to do. So, fast forward a little bit from there, and I had my daughter, my eldest daughter, and I call her my little miniature handbrake because I was a little bit of a wild child. And, she pulled me up, in the most incredible ways. It was time for me to, stop mucking around and partying all the time and, knuckle down and start to get some direction in my life. And that's exactly kind of what started that whole process for me. you know, when she arrived, I remember looking at her and thinking, like, Jesus, how am I going to give this kid, you know, all the things that I didn't have, you know, because life didn't look like what it does now back then. So, you know, I've come from a lineage of poverty mindset, you know, negativity ran rife through my family, drama, gossip, you know, all of those things. And, you know, from quite a young age, I remember thinking like, do we have to even be talking about this stuff? You know, like, it didn't interest me. I was like, let's go and do things rather than talk about people or be caught up in drama. So I guess you could say I was a black sheep right from day dot, you know, then covering myself in tattoos and being extremely rebellious. You know, that definitely made sure that I stood out. But, you know, there was a lot of things that we had to get over, you know, and when you talk about owning your crap, you know, I was, you know, what's the word? Unlucky enough to have a pretty shitty childhood, you know, wrapped in child abuse, and, you know, drug addiction. And, you know, there's loads of things that I needed to overcome. And that journey, I don't think ever ends, because you're constantly opening another chapter to the book where you're just learning more about yourself. So, you know, there were many, many years of my life that I blamed, you know, poor me. Why did this have to happen to me? You know, how come, you know, I'm like this because of what happened to me, and making excuses for my behavior. But I think it was really when I got into business online, I started off in network marketing. And honestly, I'm so grateful for that journey, because network marketing, I believe, is a personal development course cleverly disguised as a business. You know, and you learn more about yourself on that journey than you do about, you know, for me, it was, you know, fruit, veg, and berries in a capsule, you know, and that's kind of where that journey started. Because I was leading a team, I needed to level up quickly, you know, and I needed to really start surrounding myself with a tool belt of amazing people, but also tools that I could tap into when I needed to. So, you know, there's been a lot that we've had to overcome, but it's funny because it used to be many years ago something that would cross my mind quite a lot, you know, where it's like, right, here I am doing life and overcoming XYZ. Whereas now I feel so detached from that part of my life, because we've healed so many aspects of it. You know, I don't believe you ever fully heal. You know, I think there's always a 0.1% that will hold the pain that you went through, but 99.9% of me has been able to heal from what we've been through and move through that. So now, you know, like yourself, when you say, you know, talk about where you've come from and what you've been through, I really have to kind of dig to go back there and find what life used to look like, because I feel like when you fully embody who you are and where you're going, the shitty bits, you know, that came with it, you actually, the win for you, if you do the work, is you get to leave that behind, you know. And I think the crazy part that I see is that people so badly want to hold on to their story, because who am I going to be without it? That you're actually skull dragging yourself through so much more pain than you need to. If you do the work, you actually get to put it down, and you don't have to even look at it again. So it's been a wild ride, an absolute wild ride. And in true Mel fashion, I'm not done yet. God knows what, you know, rock I'll turn over next. But, you know, the gift in all of this was that I got to show my daughters what it looks like to be driven and motivated, and, you know, all of those things that as kids our parents want us to be. So we're told to be those things. You need to go and have a good job, and you need to create success, and, you know, you need to do all these things. And when I look back on the people that said that to me, were they successful? No. Did they earn good money? No. You know, were they good people? No, not in most cases. So it was really, really key for me. And it still is something that I pride myself on, is that you don't teach anything that you haven't been through. You know, some people will be like, some people might agree with that, some people might not. But for me, you know, especially with my kids, I didn't want to tell them to be something that I wasn't. So, you know, I had to go first. And I think that's probably a key piece for anybody in business or anybody even listening into this is you have to go first. You have to build a brand if you want to teach people how to build a brand. You know, you have to do a podcast if you want to, you know, have people come and speak in your space, or you want to be able to hold that higher level. And there's so many different ways that you can use, you know, your growth and the things that you're going to go through and the changes that are going to happen to benefit you and everyone else that comes into your, you know, your audience from there.
Oh, I love it. So much in there. And obviously I'm from Perth as well.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I can just picture, I don't know what area of Perth you grew up in, but I grew up in, you know, Bogan Central, as we'd call
Me
it.
too.
I'm a
Me
Gozzy
too.
girl, Gozzy girl through and through.
Yeah, well, I was Thornley, so we're
Oh,
only
wow.
like we're only
So-
suburbs next to each other.
Oh my
Yep.
God, I didn't know that.
Yep.
And so, yeah, coming out of that working class, lower socioeconomic area where, be it by choice or by whatever, you feel that surely there's more than this. And I remember growing up with that as well, going, there's got to be more than this. I so wanted more. And for me, life is about experience, adventure, and education. If I'm not learning something or doing something and experiencing something, then I feel like I'm dying inside. And so there was always that there's got to be more, there's got to be more, there's got to be more. And when the world around you is keeping you sort of down, it becomes so difficult. And I guess this leads me to my next question, and something that I have found was a path to my success is authenticity. And you are just bursting. Like if people don't like you, that's just too bad. And I love that. And I know it's something you don't compromise on in any way, shape or form in life or in business. So how did you become comfortable with that in the face of not being in an environment that encouraged that and allowed that? Surely in your life and in private and business, there were people who just wouldn't accept it. And so how has being authentic helped you create the life you love so much now? And what advice would you give people who are struggling with their own authenticity?
Oh, I love this. I don't think I've ever been asked this question. So there's a lot of facets to this. A big one for me was my mum was always the one that was like, you're not this and you're not that. And, you know, and I didn't fit her little mold, right, that she'd created mentally. And I guess I rebelled for that reason because I wasn't accepted. So I spent my life like, well, do you know what? I'm going to do it anyway because you don't like me anyway. So I'm going to go and, you know, I don't fit your mold anyway. So I'm just going to go and do what I want. And, you know, that definitely came from a pain place early on in my life where it was like, I'm just going to do what I want, you know, and I didn't really have any regard for, you know, if it hurt anyone along the way or, you know, I didn't really care. But as I grew older, you know, it was like, oh, hang on a second. This is actually working to my advantage, you know. And I remember her saying, my mum said to me that what you lacked in size, you made up for in volume, Melanie. Like you've always been loud. You've always, like you never shut up. You're always talking. And that was something as, you know, as a child that I was put down for. It was like, oh God, will you just shut up? You know, whereas now I get paid thousands and thousands of dollars to speak. So I guess over the years, I started to work out from feedback that I got that, hang on, I'm not a bad person and I'm not what she said that I am. So it was listening, and I guess it was up leveling the people that I was around. You know, when I heard the saying that you're most like the 5 people you hang out with, I was like, oh shit. Oh shit, you know, because I was so loyal to the people around me that it just didn't even cross my mind that our paths would never be together. You know, we were besties. We were always going to be together, but it was in fact those people that were drilling holes in my boat. So, you know, once I kind of shifted my audience and, you know, started to just do the things that I love, which is speak to people and inspire people and share my story and share the knowledge that I've learned over the years, I started to realize that every time I was doing something like this, a podcast or, a guest speaking or even just in my world of coaching, that it lit me up. And, getting off that call, I was like, right, now what are we going to do next for this person? And what else can we build them? And I found that my clients became those people. My clients became the people where I was like, right, let's do all the things, and I could get excited and I could be in my zone of genius and also help them, start to pave the way of what it looks like for them. So it was the feedback that I started to get, and especially from social media. A lot of people say, social media, it's highlighting all this and highlighting all that. Honestly, social media was a massive part of my healing journey because I was able to be surrounded by cheerleading women that lifted me up. And I hadn't seen that growing up. So all of a sudden I had these people that were cheering me on and they were like, oh my God, you're doing amazing things. We love what you're about, and I was like, wow, maybe I do have what it takes, So it was listening to that feedback that I was getting and then tweaking accordingly. So I never changed myself for social media, but I took on that constructive criticism and went, how can I show up better? How can I do more? And that's always what I think. How can I show up better? How can I do more? We're constantly looking at what we're doing and the experiences that we have for clients and how can we make it 4-star, 5-star, 6-star, what does that look like? But also doing that internally as well, so having a look at past relationships in business, all the relationships in my life and going, what went wrong there? Or what was great about that? What was the feedback that person gave me? And was that true? I think a big question, especially when we talk about confidence, is you're not your thoughts. Your brain is literally your worst enemy. I believe if you listen to that junk that goes on up there, you're definitely not going to be creating anything amazing because your brain's job is to keep you safe. To tell you when you're hungry and to tell you when there's, danger. But anything outside of the normal, your brain's like, oh no, let's not do it. This is scary. Just go. Let's just sit back down on the couch, right? Like we're not going to do this. So again, when I learned that I'm not my thoughts and I'm in full control of what this looks like and I get to write the narrative and I get to write the end of the story, that's when the game kind of changed for me. And I know in my being that everything I do comes from a good place. I'm not doing it because, and a lot of people I've had say, oh, but you love the money. And it's like, well, yeah, but you'll always see me say that the connections and friendships that I've made far outweighs any type of monetary, reward inside the business because I grew up not having those people and I grew up not having that cheerleading group. So, clients like yourselves that become friends and, we continue to stay in contact and help each other and grow and, cheer each other on. That's priceless. Because to be able to do that, you've ticked a fair few boxes of helping that person, inspiring that person, cheering that person on, and you're therefore getting it back. So it's a respect thing as well. I think if you deliver what you say you're going to, which I think in the online space now is very rare, but if you deliver what you say you're going to and you help that person create what it is that you've said, especially in the business perspective, then of course you're going to get that respect back. Of course you're going to get that great feedback. So for me, that as a person was really key. I'm always looking and going, how can I be a better mum? How can I not yell? How can I, how can I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if that's doable. But it's all of those things. So the self-reflection has been a massive part of how I've just continued to stay authentic, is looking at myself and going, shit, I didn't really handle that quite as well as I want to. How can I do it better next time? And if people don't like that, then I'd say it's probably because they've still got work to do themselves. So I think you kind of get a beacon, You know,
Yep.
the more work that you do on yourself, you can kind of, I think I've got it down to a fine art now. I can have a 1-minute conversation with someone, and, you know, I've always read body language, and I've always, you know, known by what people are saying, what they actually mean. And for me, you know, it's become quite easy to know who I want in my circle and who I don't. So quite often, if I'm met with negativity for any reason, it's a straight red flag for me that,
Yeah.
you know, this person, and not because everybody has to like me, but if you're running at me with a red flag and you're running at me with negativity, I can see that there's unhealed parts of yourself, you know, that, and I don't want to be around that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the older you get, the less you care.
Yeah. And
honest.
you mentioned about having those people in your corner who
Yeah.
are either already in the place that you want to be or are wanting to go along the journey with you so you can all get there is super, super important. And that doesn't mean we have to let go and not love the people from our past or our family. And I know with my relationships with my family, I am as well the black sheep. I always wanted more from life than what the rest of my family have done. And that's why I live the life now that we do, traveling around Australia and working online and doing all the things that are not traditional and not conservative. So I have filled my social circle and my business circle with a whole bunch of people that I would never, ever have connected with before. But I haven't broken the barriers and the connections with my past and with my family. But it's changed. I don't listen to them for advice around things that they've never done, they have no idea about, is not important to them, it's scary to them, but I filled my life with other people who just think, yes, do that, and are champions for that. And I think in being authentic, it's hard to be authentic when you're only surrounded by people who are the polar opposite to what your authenticity is.
100%,
so change your
because
circle.
you won't be accepted
Yeah.
for being authentic when they're still playing in that realm. But, you know, I'm so forever grateful. And again, it took a long time to get here.
Yes.
But I'm grateful for all the lessons, you know. I'm grateful for the lack of relationship that I have with my mom, because it's made the relationship that I have with my daughters so rock solid. You know, I'm grateful that she didn't accept me, because I found a way to go and fill that void, I guess you could say, in a healthy way. You know, I used that pain to fuel my fire, and it's paid off dramatically, you know, and it will continue. So I feel as though, you know, if you have the right mindset and you're willing to do the work, and you don't put your growth down to money, and can I do it or can I afford it? And you just find a way, because it's a non-negotiable. I've found that now, because like fuck, I was going to fail. Like fuck, I was going to let them win, you know? And I'm forever grateful for that. So, you know, I think there's perks in all of it. You know, do I not love these people? No, that's not true. But I get to love them from afar, because I chose that, you know, and I think it's still the same, you know, for me, it's still the same. I get to love these people from afar. I get to make peace with it, and I get to move on. You know, I think it's really, really important that personal growth comes first, you know, that we're continuing to show up and we're continuing to keep growing. I know that when I opened the can of worms called personal development, I'd never heard the word personal development. I'd never heard it. I didn't even know what it meant. I was like, what? Personal development? And when I peeled back the lid of that can, the game changed for me. My life absolutely changed, you know, and it's a really true saying that once you open that lid, you're never closing it again. Like once you go down that rabbit hole, there's no way that you can unsee and unknow what you learn. And I believe that can get opened when you're ready.
Yes. Yep. You can't force it. And I know a lot of people, you know, particularly when you're a bit older and you've got your life, you might already have kids and family and things like that. People say they can't find time. And
Yeah.
I think it's about using the time you have strategically. And I
Yeah.
love knowing this about you. You don't have a washing machine. And people might think that's
I do
just
now.
Oh, you do
I
now.
do
Okay.
now. I do now, but I didn't when we were working
Yeah.
together. No,
Yes.
no, I
And I
didn't.
know your girls keep you super busy with a whole pile of out of school activities and other kinds of things. So how the hell, apart from now using your washing machine in your house, I loved that story that
Yeah.
you would go to the laundromat to then chuck all your washing in and
Yeah.
you'd have that time. And it's things like that, finding the time. So for you,
Yeah.
for someone, even when you started, like you were running someone else's company, it was taking up all your time. What tools did you
Yeah.
use and how did you find the time in amongst parenthood and work
Yeah.
to do everything that you're doing now?
So I think a big part of it, doing network marketing previously and having a nutrition product was a big piece for me, because when I started taking that product, I was like, holy shit, I've got some energy. So that was a big piece for me, was nourishing my body and making sure that I was fueled correctly.
Yeah.
But I use what's called NET, which is no extra time. So if I'm doing the dishes, I'm listening to a replay of something that I should have been on yesterday, but I couldn't maybe make it because I had an appointment.
Yeah.
Like you were sharing, I didn't have a washing machine for 2.5 years because to me, that was completely dead time, sitting there doing loads of washing after load of washing, when literally I could chuck the washing into a laundromat. I could take up 5, washing machines at once. I had 22 minutes in that time to listen to a podcast, reply to messages, tell my team where I needed them to be, XYZ, whatever it was, chuck it all in the dryer. Now I've got another, 45 minutes or hour or whatever, but I've just done a day's worth of washing in an hour and a bit. But in that time, I haven't had to. The problem that, and a lot of people go, oh, you could have just done that at home. But the thing is, I would get sidetracked. So I would go put the washing on at home and then I'd be like, no, I'll just do the dishes and I'll just, and then I'd find around doing other things. So that's what works for my brain, is that when I go to the laundromat, throw this stuff in, I can go and get some stuff printed or pick up some things, or there was other things that I could be doing. So I used to always as well put the washing on and take the kids to school, come back and it was done. I didn't have to, there was no extra time that this took. So net has been a big thing for me, no extra time, earphones in. Boy, I've even gone to the point now where my sunglasses actually have speakers in them. I don't know if you've seen this.
I have.
But, even better now, because I was finding I was still like, oh, I forgot my earphones, or little things like that. I just zipped to the shop, but while I'm driving there, I'm thinking, oh, I should put that podcast back on, or I'd love to get back on that replay that I didn't listen to. So now I've created even more ways that I can be using that time if I forgot my earphones or they weren't charged, or just the normal things that we do because we're human, to create that no extra time. So the other thing also was, I never got okay with just sitting on the couch. I'm not okay with that. I struggle with it. And maybe it's my ADHD brain, but I can't do it. I'm not interested in doing it. So being go, go, go all day for me, the amount that I execute in a day would take some people a week to execute. But I'm busy from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep, and I use every single second of the day, in either what I need for my home, my kids, or my business. I'm go, go, go. Over time, though, I've started to create, and this is what we teach, the systems to be able to carry a lot of that heavy lifting. So instead of me being go, go, go now in hustle to bring people on board and grow my business, I'm go, go, go now in my zone of genius. And I could work all day and all night on creativity, building new things. Like, I'm totally a tech nerd. So now I get to do those things. And for me, that's not work. For me, I get to learn all these new things and see how this works, and I can connect this. And, it's like creating, almost like a scientist creating new formulas, and testing them and seeing what works and what doesn't. And that lights me up. That really, I could sit here until 2:00 in the morning and wake up at 5:00 and have no dramas and not be angry at myself for staying up to do those things. So you know, when you can be in that space where your top 3 values align with your lifestyle, I believe that that's, there's not a dollar figure. There's not a, in my world, there's not a dollar figure that means success. If I can live within my top 3 values, which is inspiration, education, and adventure, right? So do all the cool things, do all the tech stuff, and do cool shit at the same time. For me, I'm happy. I'm totally and utterly stoked. And when I'm happy, everything around me reflects that, which is a really cool place to be.
Oh, fabulous. And we've just had New Year's a couple of weeks ago. And so a lot of people have set resolutions. So we're at like the 16th today. And I'm sure those resolutions have been already long forgotten over the last week. But in creating an amazing life, you've got to be pushing for your goals. And I've come from a 25-year career of finance and business analysts and strategy. And I've always hated SMART goals. You know, that it's never gelled with me. For me, it's got to be an intrinsic feeling of what I want to create. And so I've never been able in the past, because I've learned that static management style of SMART goals. But now I know, oh, this is the feeling I want. This is what it's going to, for me, feel like in my life. And that makes it so much easier for me to bring those goals to reality. So with you, how important would you say, and how would you advise people to do their goal setting in creating their dream life? How important and how would you recommend they go about doing it?
Well, firstly, I don't even know what the SMART goal stands for. I've got a rough idea. So I'm with you on that one. I don't know. It seems too one size fits all, too cookie cutter. But look, what I do, I'm very visual. So I guess I've kind of learnt my learning type over the years. And I definitely recommend anyone listening to this to do that. You know, a lot of people will read and that's how they learn. You know, others will do and that's how they learn, you know. So knowing your learning type, I think is key. Firstly, because then you're going to know implementation and what that needs to look like as well. So for me, being really visual, I create digital vision boards. Because I'm on my phone all the time, that's what my business is, to build business anywhere. So, you know, I needed to set it up. Like if you put it on a piece of paper, it's going to get lost in the, you know, 80 other thousand pieces of paper on my desk. It's probably never going to get looked at again if I put it in a book. You know, so for me, I have to take it with me and ensure that I can see it. So I make my visual dream board or vision board, call it what you will, as my screensaver on my phone. And a lot of the times things on it are not, you know, the big flash house and the blah, like that's not what are on mine. It's things like, I want to learn XYZ. I want to know how to do blah, blah, blah. You know, so it's little things like that I'll be putting on there, because that also reminds me every time I open that phone, are you doing what you should be, Mel? You know, we're not on TikTok right now, you know, so every time I see it straight away, for me, I find that's that accountability as well, because I click my phone, it lights up and I'm like, oh, that's what you should be doing. This is what you should be learning. This is where you should be spending your time. So for me, I've found that works really, really well. When it comes to bringing things into my reality, I definitely am. But is that all you need? No. Can you just sit there and think about what you want and align your chakras and, you know, talk to the moon? No, like definitely not. So I think it's really about realistic expectations and realistic goals that you're able to set yourself to bring in whatever it is in that moment that you desire. But like you said, there has to be a connection. There has to be a feeling that goes with it. But also, I think you have to be really intentional about, okay, if it's money that you want to be creating or a lifestyle that you want to be creating, what's that going to give you? Because when I built my first company and when I got to the top, the view looked exactly the same. Yeah, exactly the same. There was no marching band when I got there. There was no, like, you know, confetti, or like life looked exactly the same. You know, so I think I'd kind of set myself up for failure in that sense, that I was like, when I get here, this is going to happen. When I reach this is going to, no, it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a really valuable lesson, because when I'd done all that work and there was millions of dollars going through my business in order to reach the position in that company, and I got to the top and I was like, oh, and that's because I didn't celebrate the little wins along the way, because I was like, oh, yep, cool, rank advancement, okay, next, you know, because all I want to do was reach that top position, head to the top. Yeah. But if you haven't built smart systems and you haven't built a business that will allow you to have some time freedom, you're going to get to the top, the view's going to look the same, and you've given yourself an 80-hour work week as well.
Yep.
So, you know, there was a lot of lessons along the way that going for a certain rank won't give you what it is that you're looking for. It needs to be, who do you want to become?
Yep.
How do you want to feel when you get there? You know, what kind of abundance do you want in your life? Who are the people in your corner? So when I kind of learned that very quickly, that was probably quite a harsh lesson, that one. Then that's when things started to shift for me. And it was about, who can we impact? How can I be better? How can I do more? Obviously, the doing more is coming into the learning and putting things into action. And again, you know, things shifted drastically for us very, very quickly, building out that second business.
And obviously throughout this, there would have been mindset shifts, and you have to become the person you want to be. And I know that when people do step into and start looking into personal development, there is a flood of techniques, and manifestation comes up. And while I love that, I think people misunderstand that it's, you know, oh, I want to manifest $1 million, and they sit there and they visualize it and they think of it, and the $1 million doesn't come, because it's not just about the mind, it's the actions that come with that mindset. So are there any little tips and tricks that you've found helpful to overcome obstacles to create the life that you have, that brings the mindset into reality, because it's bringing that together?
Yeah. So with, you know, finding, you know, like some tips and tricks to, you know, overcome those challenges. For me, I became obsessed with feeling the fear and doing it anyway. When I feel fear now, it's exactly what I need to do. Obviously, that fear is coming up because my brain's like, oh, we haven't done this before. I don't know what this is. It's scary. So the knowing part of me goes, okay, the safe brain's having a mental breakdown right now.
Yep.
I know that this is exactly the direction that I need to be going in. So that's been huge for me. Feel the fear and just do it anyway. Because what's going to happen? What's the worst thing that's going to happen if you try something new, or if you jump into that business, or if you learn how to do podcasts, or if, like, whatever it is, what harm is going to come to you by doing so? So that's probably, you know, huge piece for me, is I've done so much without knowing, because I just felt the fear and did it anyway. Also overcoming the challenges. I think it's really important to have your tool belt, you know, armed with, okay, if I'm having a really bad day and I'm feeling like I can't do this, who am I going to go to? If I'm having tech issues and I don't know what to do, who am I going to go to? You know, if I don't know what the next step in my company is to build more wealth, who am I going to go to? So it's arming yourself with every single stage, with somebody that you can go to. And yes, this is going to be an investment. And yes, there's going to be times where you're going to have to pay these people for their time. But over time, you start to build relationships with these people where they actually end up in your circle. You know, and now I can quite often go to these people because I've invested with them previously, but we've built a relationship now where I'm actually bringing things to their table as well. So they're happy to converse, you know, because you start to have this dance that happens where it's not a investment as such. In some cases, in some it is, you know, in some
Mm-hmm.
we're still paying coaches and we're still investing heavily in people to show us what to do and how to overcome the challenges. But in a lot of cases, if I just need to, you know, brainstorm with someone or, you know, I've got those people in my circle that I can reach out to. And, you know, like you said, I take no advice from people that don't have what I want.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
It's completely void. I'll
Mm-hmm.
listen.
Yeah.
But completely void, right? Because again, I feel as though you have to have done it. You know, people that say you create a 10K month, that's great. But creating a 100K month looks very different to creating a 10K month in the energetics you need to hold, in the systems you need to have set up, in the way that you handle yourself as a business owner, your terms and conditions, you know, your proposals. Like, you're not probably going to have those things at a 10K month, but you're going to damn well need them as you start to get into those bigger places. So, you know, I think it's very much about making sure that you've got the right people. But also, I've always had a mentor. Always working with somebody. So as soon as I finish a program, I'm straight into the next one. And that's because I need to feel excited about what's coming and about what I'm learning. And I think I see a lot of coaches go into burnout and I don't understand it because, like I said, I'm always doing something. I think when there's a misalignment with what you do and what you teach and the lifestyle that you live, then there's going to be a misalignment with how it comes out and how it feels. And this is where burnout comes into it. I don't feel, sometimes I get tired, as in I need to just stop for a day or two and let the dust settle, because I've literally been kicking it up everywhere. And I just need to let the dust settle so I can see, okay, cool. All right. We've got this and we've got that. Okay, now I know where I need to go. But I think, you know, creating burnout is when there's a misalignment with who you are and what you're creating. There's not a match there completely. In some way. Now that could be, you know, maybe it's not authentic. Maybe this person's trying too hard to be someone that they're not. You know, again, for people that are still working 9-to-5s and jobs, burnout is real.
Oh yeah.
Burnout is real. So real, it's not even funny. But I think when you're a business owner and you get to choose what your business looks like and you're still burning out, there's something very, very wrong in the structure and the systems and the setup. So, you know, I think, again, you know, choosing who you work with and choosing who your mentor is and what that looks like, you know, for me, it was key to make sure that that person just literally excited the shit out of me, like to the point where I was jumping through the screen, like, let me start already. Here's my credit card, you know. It didn't become, oh my God, how much is it? It was like, I don't care. When can we start? You know, and I think it's really key to find people like that to work with, because the journey is going to be fun as well. If you're that excited to work with them, you found something that you want to learn and be a part of. So
absolutely.
I think that they're the keys that for me really so far is just feeling the fear anyway, and making sure that my tool belt is armed with the right people, so that if one day we do have a slump of any type, you know, that we've got the right people to call on to get us back into the place that we need to be. And that's, you know, we're always learning. I think if you come across coaches that are like, I know what to do, and, you know, and I don't need a mentor, huge red flag for me. Huge red flag, because that person is stuck now in oscillating in the same place, teaching the same thing, oscillating in the same place. They're not taking risks and they're not being challenged themselves. So I would personally question, you know, how far they can take you. So they're probably my hottest tips, is to make sure that, you know, you're as excited as you possibly can be to take the next step, even if it's scary.
Oh, so much goodness in this, and I'm absolutely loving this chat. And from the very beginning, when, if people who are listening to this are at the beginning of their journey and they're at the healing stage, you need people around you to help you in your healing. But even when you're at that, like you said before, 99.9% healed, then it's growing. Then you hit the sort of gone through the hardest bit, and now you're going up, and you still need people around you and ways to fill your cup, so then you can push that energy back out into the world and create more magic and more adventure and more whatever it is that you want to have in your life. So you're having those people around you, having those tools in your kit bag to be able to draw on when you need them. And particularly people who are coaches and mentors. And I know while I'm starting this podcast in trying to help people in a different way, I am always finding ways, like you say, constantly listening to podcasts for other teachers, other people who've walked the path, to go, oh God, yeah, that could work. And oh yeah, I did that and I didn't even realize I was doing it at the time, and I've experienced that too. And I love that. And it's funny, it's changed from it's all about me, I wanted to heal me perspective in the beginning all those years ago, to now, God, I want to put it back out there and I want to help other people. And for me, that's been the most rewarding part of my life, and is giving it back to people. In your journey, you give back in so many different ways. Is that something for you that you've come back and going, oh, this is the reward? It's not about it coming into me, it's about it actually going out.
Yeah, the reward for me is getting messages saying, oh, this business that you've shown me how to build has changed our life. You know, thank you for being in my corner. Thanks for cheering me on. Like that shit fills my cup, you know, being able to heal my shit and own my crap in a way where I just gave somebody else permission to step into their greatness and take a risk, feel challenged and start to work on their dreams. Like, wow, you know, and somebody did that for me once upon a time. And look at our life now. And I'm so forever grateful, you know, for that network marketing experience, because honestly, network marketing was the family that I didn't have, the cheerleaders that I didn't have. They were the people that believed in me long before I believed in myself. Really had the confidence I needed to become who I want. So yeah, I think definitely, you know, definitely giving back for me now. And yeah, of course, you know, as coaches, we do earn from what we give back, because but the cool thing is that to compress time and how to do, I get to now compress into 6 months for somebody and speed up that process. And God, I wish, you know, that that there was you know, the coaching that we do, I wish that there was that type of stuff when I was learning, because it wouldn't have taken me 8 years, you know, to learn it all. So, you know, I think it becomes a gift, is that you get to compress time for people, and time is all we have. So what a fucking amazing gift is that by coming in and learning from us, or working with us, or building a business with us, or whatever it looks like, you get to compress time. I get to give you some of your life back now with new skills and a new you and a new version and maybe a new business and a new outcome. And now you can go and sit with those little people that you love every single day instead of building someone else's dream.
Oh,
so
love it.
That's cool shit.
It is. Thank you so much. I am so grateful for your time and your knowledge and your wisdom. So I'll put it in the show notes, but how can people find you? Where's the best place to connect with you, access your incredible services, just follow your journey along as you go?
Yes. So you can find me at Mel Brandt _official on Instagram, or www.lifestyleind.com. We have 14 days of free coaching on the website that you're more than welcome to jump into. I love to give people an experience before they even...
Oh my God, that was amazing. We got there in the end, a few technical glitches along the way, but I'm so grateful for Mel for sharing her wisdom and her story about her life, and how just by being authentic, just by being 100% true to yourself, you can create something that is absolutely amazing. So I will put links to all of where you can catch up with Mel. Don't forget, she does have 14 days of free business coaching available to anyone on her website, Lifestyle Industries. Links will be in the show notes. I hope you got a heap of value out of that, and I will chat to you all next week.